Have you ever wondered what it was like to live in a city that shaped the world for centuries? Imagine walking through streets filled with majestic buildings, powerful leaders, and stories of glory and intrigue. What city could this be? In today's video, we're going on a journey through time to explore Rome's incredible rise and fall, its legendary emperors, and the key events that defined this great civilization. Let's dive into the fascinating world of ancient Rome and uncover its secrets together. Ancient Rome's story begins around 753 BC near the Tiber River in Italy. What started as a small settlement grew into a powerful city known for its military might and clever diplomacy. Over time, Rome expanded its influence across Italy, absorbing Greek and Etruscan cultures along the way. By the height of its power in AD 117, the Roman Empire covered a vast territory, including North Africa, Egypt, southern and western Europe, and parts of the Middle East. This made it one of the largest empires of ancient times, with millions of people living under its rule. Roman civilization left a lasting impact on the world. It influenced language, religion, government, and even engineering. Romans were famous for their aqueducts, roads, and impressive buildings, showing their advanced skills in architecture and technology. From a republic to an empire, Rome's government evolved, paving the way for systems seen in modern democracies like the United States and France. Together with ancient Greece, Rome forms what we call the Greco-Roman world, whose legacy still shapes our world today. As we move forward, let's take a look at the history of ancient Rome. Archaeologists say people started living near Rome around 1000 BC. Around 800 BC, they began organizing more seriously, with the first graves found on the Esquiline Hill and a wall built on the Palatine Hill. Around 650 BC, Romans started to drain the valley between the Capitoline and Palatine Hills, where the Roman Forum is now. Legend says Rome was founded by twins, Romulus and Remus. They were born to Mars and a princess from Alba Longa. Raised by a wolf, they had a fight and Romulus ended up killing Remus. He then started Rome on the Palatine Hill. Another story, told by the Greek historian Dionysius of Halicarnassus and later by Virgil in the Aeneid, says a Trojan prince named Aeneas led people to start a new city after the Trojan War. They landed on the Tiber River and a woman named Roma burned their ships so they would stay. They named the city after her. These stories, from around the 3rd century BC, mix myth and history to explain how ancient Rome began. The evidence shows that Rome had kings as seen in texts from the 6th century BC. Even after the monarchy ended, a religious figure, the Rex Sacrorum, kept some of the king's ceremonial duties. The Romans believed their kings were chosen by election, and they had 7 legendary kings who were not all related by blood. By the end of the 6th century BC, Rome expanded to about 780 square kilometers, with a population of around 35,000. They built the Regia Palace around 625 BC and organized their first popular groups and the Senate during this period. Rome also began controlling its neighboring Latin cities, sharing customs like marriage rites and religious festivals. The Roman Republic began around 509 BC, after overthrowing the last king, Tarquin the Proud. They established a system with annual elections for magistrates and representative assemblies. The constitution included checks and balances and divided powers. The consuls were the top magistrates with military command, while the Senate, originally advising nobles or patricians, gained more influence. Other officials, like tribunes, quaestors, and praetors were added, and these positions were eventually opened to common people or plebeians. Voting assemblies, like the Comitia Centuriata and Comitia Tributa, decided matters and elected officials. In the 4th century BC, Rome faced attacks from Gauls, who sacked the city in 390 BC but were eventually repelled. Rome continued to conquer the Italian peninsula, defeating threats like the Etruscans and Greeks. They secured their territories by founding colonies in strategic locations, ensuring their dominance in the region. In the 3rd century BC, Rome faced a powerful adversary, Carthage, another major force in the western Mediterranean. The First Punic War erupted in 264 BC, when Messana sought Carthage's aid against Hiero II of Syracuse. After Carthage intervened, Messana turned to Rome, asking them to expel the Carthaginians. Rome saw an opportunity to extend its influence into Sicily, recently conquered Greek territory, and so entered the conflict. Carthage, known for its naval prowess, posed a significant challenge to Rome, which lacked a strong navy. Despite this disadvantage, Rome persevered through more than 2 decades of war before finally defeating Carthage. A peace treaty was signed, but tensions remained high, leading to the Second Punic War. The second conflict, ignited by Carthage's heavy reparations from the First War, began dramatically with Hannibal's daring invasion of Hispania and subsequent march across the Alps into Italy. Hannibal's strategy aimed to undermine Roman alliances by causing unrest among their Italian allies. Rome countered with a strategy of attrition, led by Quintus Fabius Maximus, which eventually wore down Hannibal's forces. The decisive Battle of Zama in 202 BC marked the end of Hannibal's campaign and Carthage's power. Over 50 years later, Rome's focus turned to the Hellenistic kingdoms in Greece and revolts in Hispania. However, Carthage, having paid its war debts, believed its obligations to Rome had ended, a view not shared by the Roman Senate. The Third Punic War erupted in 149 BC, when Rome declared war on Carthage. Despite initial resistance, Carthage fell to Scipio Aemilianus, who razed the city, enslaved its people, and claimed the region as the province of Africa. These wars established Rome's dominance with its first overseas conquests in Sicily, Hispania, and Africa, solidifying its rise as a major imperial power in the Mediterranean. In the 2nd century BC, Rome defeated powerful enemies like the Macedonian and Seleucid empires, becoming the dominant force in the Mediterranean. This conquest brought Rome and Greek cultures closer together, making Rome's elite more worldly and urban. However, Rome faced internal problems. Senators grew rich from the provinces, while soldiers, mostly small farmers, struggled as they were often away from their land. The use of foreign slaves on large estates reduced job opportunities for ordinary people. Wealthy merchants, called equestrians, emerged, but Senate laws limited their political influence. The Senate itself was divided and often blocked important reforms. Urban gangs, controlled by rival senators, intimidated voters through violence. Tensions peaked in the late 2nd century BC with the Gracchi brothers, who tried land reforms favoring the common people, or plebeians. Both brothers were killed, and the Senate reversed their changes, widening the gap between plebeians, the populares, and the wealthy, or the optimates. Gaius Marius emerged as a military leader in 107 BC by promising to defeat Jugurtha of Numidia. He introduced reforms allowing the poor to join the army, which was a big change. After Marius retired, Rome briefly had peace until the Italian allies, or socii, demanded citizenship rights. The reformer Marcus Livius Drusus was killed, leading to the Social War. Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla rose as top military leaders, but their rivalry led to conflict. In 88 BC, Sulla was elected consul, but was sent to fight Mithridates VI of Pontus. Marius's supporters defied the Senate, leading Sulla to march on Rome with his army, killing his opponents. Marius briefly took power but died soon after. Sulla returned from the east, executed many rivals, and became dictator, which started the Republic's decline. In the middle of the 1st century BC, Roman politics were turbulent. Rome was divided into two main groups, the populares, who sought support from the common people, and the optimates, who favored maintaining aristocratic control. Sulla, the leader of the optimates, ousted populist leaders and made constitutional changes that weakened office like the tribune of the plebs, which had supported populist causes. Meanwhile, Rome faced growing social and economic tensions. The city had a wealthy aristocracy, but many aspiring individuals were burdened with debts, and a large number of impoverished farmers formed the proletariat. These groups supported various political movements, including the unsuccessful Catilinarian conspiracy, which was swiftly suppressed by consul Marcus Tullius Cicero. Gaius Julius Caesar played a pivotal role by reconciling Rome's two most influential figures, Marcus Licinius Crassus, who had backed Caesar's early career, and Crassus's rival, Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, known as Pompey, whom Caesar later allied with through marriage to his daughter. Together, along with Caesar, they formed the First Triumvirate, an informal coalition of power. The Triumvirate faced challenges after Crassus's death in 53 BC during his failed campaign against Parthia. With Crassus gone, tensions between Caesar and Pompey escalated. Caesar's conquest of Gaul brought him immense wealth and the loyalty of experienced soldiers, making him a formidable threat to Pompey and the optimates who opposed him. Confident they could stop Caesar legally, Pompey's faction sought to strip Caesar of his military command, pushing him towards trial, financial ruin, and exile. To prevent this, Caesar famously crossed the Rubicon River in 49 BC, signaling civil war as he marched on Rome. The Battle of Pharsalus in 48 BC saw Caesar decisively defeat Pompey and other Optimate leaders like Metellus Scipio and Cato the Younger. Pompey fled to Egypt, where he was assassinated. With his rivals defeated, Caesar became the dominant figure in Rome. Over the next 5 years, he held numerous consulships and dictatorships, including one for life. However, his increasing power and reforms provoked fears among some senators, leading to his assassination on the Ides of March in 44 BC by a group of conspirators known as the Liberators. Caesar's murder caused chaos in Rome. His friend Marcus Antonius took over. Caesar's adopted son, Octavius, later Octavian, came to Rome and sided with Caesar's supporters. In 43 BC, Octavian, Antonius, and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus formed the Second Triumvirate. They executed 130 to 300 senators for their part in Caesar's death. The Senate made Octavian Divus Lulius, Caesar's divine son. In 42 BC, they defeated Caesar's killers, Brutus and Cassius, at Philippi. The Triumvirate had brutal purges, including a rebellion by Antonius's brother Lucius. They split the empire. Lepidus got Africa, Antonius the East, and Octavian, Italy, Hispania, and Gaul. The Triumvirate ended in 38 BC, but was renewed for 5 years. Octavian and Antonius fell out, and Lepidus was forced out in 36 BC. Antonius went to Egypt and got involved with Cleopatra VII, Egypt's queen, seen as treason. He gave her royal titles, angering Rome. War broke out in Actium in 31 BC, where Octavian crushed Antonius and Cleopatra. They committed suicide in 30 BC, and Egypt became a Roman province. In 27 BC, when Octavian was 36 years old, he became the sole leader of Rome. He adopted the name Augustus, which historians see as the start of the Roman Empire. Although the government officially remained a republic, Augustus wielded absolute authority. His government reforms ushered in a 200-year era known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, a time of relative stability and prosperity in the Roman world. The Julio-Claudian dynasty started with Augustus. Emperors in this family were Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. They changed how Rome ruled and made it powerful in the Mediterranean. Caligula and Nero are known for their bad leadership, while Augustus and Claudius are praised for their politics and military skills. They introduced new ways of ruling in Rome and stopped any attempts to bring back the old republic. Augustus gathered most of the power under his title of princeps, reducing the influence of senators and favoring the equestrian class. Senators lost control over certain provinces like Egypt, where governors were chosen directly by the emperor. Augustus also created the Praetorian Guard and reorganized the military with a fixed army size, ensuring complete control. His time as princeps was peaceful, earning him support from both the people and the nobles of Rome. Rome continued to thrive. The Julio-Claudians ruled until Nero died in AD 68. Influenced by his wife Livia, Augustus chose her son Tiberius as his successor. The Senate agreed, giving Tiberius titles like those of Augustus. Tiberius, uninterested in politics, retired in AD 26, leaving Rome in the hands of Praetorian prefects. Tiberius died in AD 37, leaving few male heirs. Caligula, who followed him, was initially popular, but later became known for his cruel and unstable rule. After Caligula's murder, his uncle Claudius took over. Claudius ruled with less harshness than Tiberius and Caligula, leading conquests in places like Lycia, Thrace, and Britain. Claudius was poisoned in AD 54, and his stepson Nero became emperor. Nero's reign saw conflicts like the invasion of Wales and uprisings in Britain. He is remembered for persecuting Christians and for the Great Fire of Rome, rumored to have been started by him. A revolt in AD 68 led to Nero's downfall and suicide. As Rome expanded across the Mediterranean, Italy kept a special status as ruler of the provinces and as the governor and protector of all lands. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos. The Flavians were the second dynasty to rule Rome after Nero's death in 68 AD, marking the end of any hope for a return to the Roman Republic. Vespasian, formerly Titus Flavius Vespasianus, emerged as emperor after the chaos of the Year of the Four Emperors. Under the Flavians, Rome expanded and the empire remained stable. During Trajan's reign, Rome reached its largest territorial extent, covering 5 million square kilometers, or 1.9 million square miles. A significant event during the Flavian era was the siege and destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD by Titus. This marked the end of the Roman campaign in Judea following the Jewish uprising of 66 AD. The Second Temple was demolished, and Titus was proclaimed imperator by his soldiers in celebration of the victory. The siege resulted in the deaths of 1.1 million people, mostly Jewish, with 97,000 captured and enslaved. Before becoming emperor, Vespasian had served as a general under Claudius and Nero, notably in the First Jewish-Roman War. After the tumultuous Year of the Four Emperors, Vespasian emerged victorious over Vitellius and began his reign. He undertook extensive reconstruction projects in Rome, including the completion of the Temple of Apollo and the Colosseum, which started during his reign. Prominent historians like Josephus and Pliny the Elder wrote during Vespasian's time, with Josephus sponsored by him and Pliny dedicating his work to Vespasian's son Titus. Vespasian also expanded Roman territories and reformed taxation before he died in 79 AD. Titus succeeded his father in 79 AD and completed the Colosseum, using the spoils from the First Jewish-Roman War. He hosted lavish games in celebration, including gladiatorial contests and a spectacular naval battle within the Colosseum. Titus died in 81 AD, leading to the ascension of his younger brother Domitian. Domitian constructed temples in honor of Jupiter, but was assassinated as a result of a conspiracy within his household after ruling for 15 years. After Domitian was killed, the Senate chose Nerva as the new emperor. Nerva came from a noble family and had advised Nero and other rulers before becoming emperor. His goal was to restore the freedoms of Rome's upper classes, which Domitian had restricted. The Nerva-Antonine dynasty lasted from 96 AD to 192 AD and included the 5 good emperors: Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. These emperors are known for their wise and fair rule. Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius were originally from Roman colonies outside Italy. Nerva ruled briefly and was succeeded by Trajan, a skilled general who expanded Rome's territory through wars in Dacia, modern Romania, and Mesopotamia. He also built impressive structures like Trajan's Forum and the Market in Rome, and conquered new lands. Hadrian followed Trajan and is famous for building Hadrian's Wall in Britain to keep out Scottish tribes. He promoted Greek culture, improved laws, and forbade torture. His reign was marked by stability until his death, the empire prosperous and peaceful. Marcus Aurelius, known as a philosopher, was the last of the 5 good emperors. He faced challenges from outside tribes, but maintained stability and wrote the famous Meditations, reflecting on life and duty. During this time, Rome flourished, uniting its provinces under strong laws. Wealth brought both benefits and problems, but the Senate seemed to hold power while the emperors managed day-to-day affairs. This era is considered Rome's golden age. Commodus, Marcus Aurelius' son, followed, but his reign marked a decline. He didn't match the wisdom of his predecessors, and his rule is seen as the start of Rome's decline, as noted by historians like Cassius Dio. After Commodus was killed, Rome faced a period of instability known as the Year of the 5 Emperors in 193 to 194 AD. This chaos began with Helvius Pertinax, a respected senator and former advisor to Marcus Aurelius, was declared emperor. However, he was later murdered by the Praetorian Guard, who then auctioned off the throne to the highest bidder, Didius Julianus. This scandalous act outraged the people of Rome, who called upon the frontier legions for help. In response, 3 frontier legions in Britannia, Pannonia Superior, and Syria proclaimed their generals as emperors. One of these generals, Lucius Septimius Severus from Pannonia, managed to secure the throne by bribing the Praetorian Guard and defeating his rivals. He established a new dynasty known as the Severan dynasty, ruling with the support of the military. Severus faced challenges during his reign. He tried to centralize power and revive autocratic rule, drawing comparisons to harsh Roman leaders of the past like Marius and Sulla. He successfully fought against Parthian invasions but failed in his campaign against Hatra, an important Arabian city. Severus also attempted to conquer all of Britannia, facing difficulties due to the terrain and ambushes by local tribes. He fell ill during these campaigns and died in 211 AD. Upon Severus's death, his sons, Caracalla and Geta, became co-emperors, but Caracalla soon had his brother murdered to consolidate power. Caracalla continued his father's aggressive policies, gaining support from the legions but earning widespread hatred among his subjects. He infamously ordered a massacre in Alexandria in response to public criticism. In 212 AD, Caracalla issued the Edict of Caracalla, granting Roman citizenship to all free men in the empire except for certain groups. This was a significant change in Roman policy, reshaping the empire's social structure. Caracalla was assassinated in 217 AD during a pilgrimage, and Macrinus briefly took power. However, his rule was short-lived, as he was overthrown by Elagabalus, also known as Heliogabalus. Elagabalus's reign was marked by incompetence and scandalous behavior, leading to his assassination and the rise of Severus Alexander. Severus Alexander faced challenges from internal and external enemies, including Persia and Germanic tribes. His attempts to maintain peace and stability were met with dissatisfaction among the military, and he was assassinated during a campaign in Germany in 235 AD, marking the end of the Severan dynasty. After the death of Alexander Severus, Rome plunged into a period of turmoil, marked by civil wars, invasions, political upheaval, pandemics, and economic collapse. Traditional Roman values waned, and new religions like Mithraism and Christianity gained ground among the people. Emperors no longer came from noble backgrounds. Instead, they often rose through the military ranks and seized power through civil conflicts. During this chaotic 49-year period, there were 26 different emperors, highlighting severe political instability. Some ruled for just a few years or even months, such as Maximinus Thrax, Gordian I, Gordian II, Balbinus, and Hostilian. The focus of these emperors was primarily on defeating rivals rather than governing effectively, leading to neglect of both the population and the frontiers. Economic troubles worsened due to extensive military spending under the Severan emperors, resulting in the devaluation of Roman currency and hyperinflation. The plague of Cyprian in 250 AD further devastated the population, adding to the empire's woes. In 260 AD, the provinces of Syria, Palestina, Asia Minor, and Egypt broke away from Rome to form the Palmyrene Empire, led by Queen Zenobia with Palmyra at its center. Around the same time, the Gallic Empire emerged under Postumus, retaining control over Britain and Gaul. These secessions followed the humiliating capture of Empire Valerian by the Sassanids of Persia, marking the first time a Roman emperor was taken captive by a foreign power. The crisis began to stabilize during the reigns of Claudius Gothicus, 268 to 270, who defeated Gothic invaders, and Aurelian, 271 to 275, who retook both the Gallic and Palmyrene empires. Eventually, stability returned under Diocletian, who reorganized the empire's administration and laid the foundation for the late Roman Empire's governmental structure. In 284 AD, Diocletian became emperor during a tough time for Rome. He made big changes to fix things. He split the empire into 4 parts, with 2 main emperors, himself in the east and Maximian in the west, and 2 helpers, Galerius in the east and Flavius Constantius in the west. This plan aimed to run things better and fix money problems with new taxes. Diocletian had success fighting the Persians and other enemies. He also copied how Eastern kings acted, making people bow down to him. Unlike earlier emperors who pretended to follow Rome's old ways, Diocletian ruled like a real king. Many new cities were built to manage the empire better, but Diocletian also went after Christians hard, starting in 303 AD. He ordered their churches and books destroyed. Despite his achievements, Diocletian surprised everyone by quitting in 305 AD, which ended the old way of ruling, Principate, and started the Tetrarchy. After that, Constantine the Great took charge. He fought and beat other rulers like Maxentius and Licinius, bringing the empire together again. In 313 AD, he said Christians could worship freely with the Edict of Milan. Constantine himself became a Christian and made it the empire's main religion. Constantine fought in many battles and rebuilt a city called Byzantium, which he named Nova Roma or New Rome, but it became Constantinople. His rule changed Rome a lot, moving it towards Christianity and marking a big shift in Western history. In the late 4th and 5th centuries, the Western Roman Empire faced big problems that eventually caused its collapse. They lost key battles against the Persian Empire and Germanic tribes. Emperor Julian died fighting the Persians in 363 AD, and Emperor Valens was killed by the Goths in the Battle of Adrianople in 378 AD. The Goths, who won that battle, were never completely removed from the empire. After Emperor Theodosius I died in 395 AD, the empire split in 2 parts, the Eastern Roman Empire ruled by Arcadius and the Western Roman Empire by Honorius, Theodosius' sons. The situation got worse after the death of Stilicho in 408 AD. He was a general who tried to unite and defend the empire. The Western Empire suffered more setbacks, including the sack of Rome by the Visigoths in 410 AD. During the 5th century, the Western Empire lost a lot of its land. The Vandals took North Africa, the Visigoths took parts of Gaul, and the Suebi took Galatia. Britain was left on its own, and the Huns, led by Attila, also caused a lot of damage. In 476 AD, a Germanic leader named Odoacer removed the last Roman emperor in the west, Romulus Augustus. This marked the end of the Western Roman Empire and the start of the Middle Ages. Meanwhile, the Eastern Roman Empire, also called Byzantium, continued for almost 1,000 more years. Despite setbacks like the plague of Justinian and Arab invasions, the Byzantine Empire lasted until the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Turks in 1453 AD. As we wrap up our exploration of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, it's clear that history provides us with invaluable lessons about power, governance, and the resiliency of societies. What do you think were the key reasons behind the empire's eventual decline? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through the annals of ancient Rome, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating historical content, and share it with others who love history. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.